Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Brad, and welcome to week 4 of the book report, where I kind of update you all on what I'm reading, what I've been reading, and what I plan to read, all that kind of bookish stuff. I don't have too much to talk about this week, so it might be a shorter video, but I say that and I'll probably ramble for 20 minutes. But I didn't read a ton this week, but what I did read was really good. But before we get into what I read, I did pick up 2 books from the library bookshop. And I picked up The Stepford Wives by Ira Levin. This was like $1.50. And I also picked up The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Both these are books I wanted to read for a while, and now I have copies of each, especially Handmaid's Tale, because my wife and I, back when it first came out, we started watching on Hulu. We never finished it. Not because we weren't enjoying it. We just got distracted, life, kids and such. Never got back to it. So I do want to read the book and then go back and maybe finish the series. I think it's done now. I don't know if it's still going on or not. But what we did watch, I think we watched the first 2 seasons. I did really enjoy. And then Ira Levin, I've never seen the Stepford Wives movie, but Ira Levin, they wrote Rosemary's Baby, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken. Does it say? Does it say in here? I don't think it says. Yeah, Rosemary's Baby. That's what I thought. So that one will be cool too. So pick those 2 up. We'll set those down here. And then I wanted to talk about a book unhaul. I see people do unhaul videos all the time. I've never done one. I don't plan to do one. But I do have some books that I feel like I want to part ways with. Some of them I'll show you just really quick because they're authors I don't really have any plans to read. And then I don't know if you can see, there's a stack of books next to this chair over here. All those I'm going to get rid of. That's stack probably about this big, and they're all arcs that I received from an indie publisher that is no longer in business. And I read most of them when they were still around, and now that publisher's out of business, and I think all the books have found new homes elsewhere, I don't have any plans to read arcs for that old publisher. So I'm going to get rid of those. They're all say the not for resale on there, so I don't think I can take them like half price books or anything. I'll probably just take them to my library and they can maybe sell them in their bookstore. I don't know, but I'm going to get rid of those. And then I've got some other books. I've got some Dean Koontz books. I've never read Dean Koontz. I've got The Face, Shadow Fires, Dragon Tears, Eyes of Darkness, The Darkest Evening of the Year, and there's some hardcovers under here. I just have no desire to read Dean Koontz. I never have, and I don't think I will, and these are just taking up space. I've got Odd Hours, and then I've got, what's to say, The Husband. I think I bought all these from my library a couple times a year, has a huge book sale. You can fill up like a box of books for like $5. So I bought those there, but I don't really have any desire to read Dean Koontz. Like I said, I don't know if he's good or not. I've never read him, but I just don't care. But this author, Yo Nesbo, I think is how you pronounce his name. I did read one of his books, The Night House, and I did not like it. Not only did I not like the story, but I did not like his writing style really whatsoever. So I don't really have any desire to read any of his other books. So I've got The Redbreast, The Redeemer, The Leopard, and The Snowman, all of his that I'm going to also part ways with because I just don't have any desire to read that author because I didn't like his stuff. No offense if you do like his stuff, but for me, I did not really whatsoever like his writing in that other book and don't really want to waste my time reading anything else. That was actually, The Night House was the only book last year I DNF'd, and I think that's really my first like official DNF. Like I've stopped reading other books before, but I always have the intentions of going back to read them at some point. But this one I stopped reading and I have no intentions of going back because I just did not like it at all. So that's like an unhaul. Books I'm going to get rid of because I've got too many books and not enough room, and I don't plan on reading any of those at all. But what did I read this week for sure? And these are books I actually do like. So I finished reading this book, Pineville Trace by Wes Blake. He is a Kentucky author. This is a novel told in flash. So it's got super, super short chapters. Like some of them are just a page or two. So like little flash fiction. And it's like each chapter is kind of its own little flash fiction story, but it's telling this overarching story throughout the whole book. And I also dig the cover. The cover reminds me of like those collages we used to do back in school where you'd have to cut out different things from magazines and put it all on a paper. That's what it reminds me of. I think it's a really cool cover. I don't know what type of art style that is. I'm not super up in the art world to know what that is, but I like the style of that cover. And I dig short chapters, and that's what this is about. This is not really, there's no really plot to this, but that's not a bad thing. It's really, really character driven. I'll tell you what it's about. It's super short, so I don't want to say too much. But it does say, this on the back of the book. It's about our main character. His name is Frank, and he is like a revival preacher who would go down south, with his tent, traveling around doing these little revivals. And then he has gone to prison for fraud, and he escapes from prison with his cat, whose name is Buffalo. And the rest of the book is just kind of like his journey and just kind of like trying to find himself and discover himself and who he really is. It's really kind of an introspective book where the character is kind of looking in on himself and trying to figure out what he wants to be and who he wants to be and stuff. And that's really kind of what the rest of the book is, kind of his journey, traveling around as he's trying to just discover who he is and who he wants to be. Like I said, it's really character driven. There's not much of a plot, but I still really, really enjoyed it. And in his mind, he's dreamed up this cabin in the woods that's surrounded by all these pine trees. And that's kind of what he's seeking on his journey, trying to find this cabin from his dreams. But I feel like that's kind of a representation of, the cabin is his true self. And that's what he's seeking out throughout the book, trying to find out who he is. Because he feels like when he was this revival preacher, when he was kind of conning people, saying he healed them and whatnot, when, he really didn't do anything like that. He always felt like that was a facade, a show, an act, and he never was his true self. He was never able to put down roots and grow a family or anything like that, or, really find love or connection or anything. And now that he's out of prison, he can't go back to his old name and his old self because, he'll get caught and go back to prison. So it's kind of forcing him to discover himself, if that kind of makes any sense. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's a slow paced read, but it's a quick read, if that makes sense. There's not any really action in here or anything like that. It's slow as far as, unraveling the layers of this character, but it's a quick read because the chapters are super short. And the whole book itself is short. It's only like 120 pages. But if you're into like character studies like that, people just trying to discover who they are and what they want out of life and things, I highly suggest you pick this up. I really enjoyed it. And he hangs out with his cat, Buffalo, who is like, he believes like they're reincarnated, like they had met before. Like in a past life, Frank was a tree and Buffalo the cat was a bird, and they'd connected before in life, and now they're connecting again in this life. So he kind of has this believes of kind of some mysticism and stuff as well, kind of what he believes in. He talks about the stars a lot and Orion's belt and things. It was just overall a really cool book. I really enjoyed it. It also reminded me of the book West by Carrie Davies I read earlier this month, where it's kind of this journey. In that book, the father was seeking out an actual physical object, these creatures. In this book, the character seeking out kind of, himself and what he is. Cool book, Pineville Trace by Wes Blake, and he's a Kentucky author, so I like supporting fellow Kentuckians as well. So I finished up that book, and then this book I started. This is Small Mercies by Dennis Lehane. This book is part of the, I filmed a video. It should be coming out on Tuesday, I think. 25 books I want to read this year in 2025. This one is from that list. I just kind of picked it up. I didn't really know what book I wanted to read next. I kind of talked about The Boys in the Valley, but I wasn't really feeling that the other day. So I was looking at all those 25 books I wanted to read and picked this one. And I'm super glad I did, because this is great. Especially the dialogue is exquisite. It's excellent. It feels so real and authentic. And a lot of people can't write dialogue very good. At least I don't think so. Some dialogue, feels like it's been written, but this feels like these characters are actually speaking. And for me, that's the best part so far. But there's kind of a mystery in here. There's all kinds of stuff going on. This takes place in 1974 in Boston, specifically kind of like South Boston, Southie area. And back then, the schools and especially the neighborhoods were still segregated. And then the government sort of enforcing this busing policy that's going to be going on soon with the schools, where they're going to bus white kids from the white neighborhoods to some of the black schools, and then vice versa, busing some of the black students from the black neighborhoods and the black schools to the white schools, so they can slowly start to end segregation and start to desegregate the school system and start to mix the different races together. And it seems like for the most part, no one is down for this, especially the white population from Southie. They are utterly and violently against it. I don't really think the black community is for it as well, even though some of the black people sued, I guess, either the school board or the government to kind of get this to start happening, because the education system for the blacks was not or is not as good as it was for the whites. Probably less teachers, poor materials. The schools, physical buildings themselves probably aren't as nice. So that's kind of what got the ball rolling. But it seems like no one really wants to go in the other communities, neighborhoods, and stuff. So that's kind of the backdrop for it all. And then, like, on the eve of that, a young African American man, young black man, gets killed or is found dead in kind of like the white neighborhood. And then around the same time, this young 17-year-old white girl goes missing, and we're following her mom for the most part. Mary Pat is kind of the main character. We're following her mom and trying to find out what happened to her daughter, and also some of the detectives who are investigating the death of the young black man in the the subway station. So that's kind of the whole thing, but it's really good so far. I've never read Dennis Lehane before. I've seen some of his movies, but if this keeps up, I am getting near the end. I'm on page 200. Where's my bookmark at? Let's see. There we go. I'm on page 216, and it's 299 pages. So I've got less than 100 pages left. If it keeps up at the pace it is, I think Dennis Lehane is going to be a new favorite author of mine, where I have to go and read all of his books, because I'm really loving this. The historical aspects of it, the location, it being in Boston, Southie, the dialogue, especially, like I said, there's violence in here, and I love great violence in books. This is like checking off all the boxes. So I'm glad I decided to pick this one up off of a whim. This is Small Mercies by Dennis Lehane. I think I've got a new favorite author that I want to go head back and read all of their books. So that's what I've been reading this week. I finished Pineville Trace. I'm almost done with Small Mercies. And then what am I planning to read next? I don't really know. I'm going to, again, try to pick up some of these books from my 25 books I went to read this year. Right now, and this may change come tomorrow, but right now I've seen a few other people on Bookstagram and BookTube that have been reading this book or just finished this book, and they've all been singing its praises. So this one might be my next book. And this is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Like I said, this is also one of the 25 books I want to try to read this year. But everyone's been saying this is just magnificent. One of the best books they've ever read. I don't know a ton about it, but I know it's kind of like Southern Gothic, Southern grit lit kind of stuff. It is, what is it? It's like David Copperfield. So Charles Dickens has a book called David Copperfield, and that's kind of a reimagining or retelling of that, but set in Appalachia. I think the kid's name is Demon, which is a really weird name for a kid. And I guess it's about, the struggles he goes through surviving in Appalachia. I don't know what time period this is. Looks like he lives in a double wide trailer with his mom. I think his dad has run away or has been killed or something. But I've heard this is just absolutely excellent, and I'm kind of getting the urge to pick this up because everyone else has been talking about this recently. So I might read this one this week. We'll see. This one is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. And I think that's all I've got this week. Like I said, I do have the video coming out for 25 books I do want to read this year. That should be coming out on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, I've got a video coming out called The Year of Crichton. I read Jurassic Park earlier this month. I've got a decent little stack of Michael Crichton books. I think I want to try to read as many of his books I can this year. Last year I did The Year of Robert McCammon. This year I'm going to do The Year of Michael Crichton. So I think that video should be coming out Thursday. So that's what you all can look forward to coming out this week if you're interested in watching either of those. But that's it. I think that's everything. Some books I'm getting rid of, what I read, what I'm planning to read, all that kind of fun stuff. So that's it. That's all I've got for you guys today. So I appreciate you hanging out, spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad. and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.